Hi guys, my name is Barry Van Lunen, and today I'm going to be talking about my dog ate my couch. Ah! Alright, this is of course a problem that some people run into with their dogs. You come home from work and you had a great day, and then you come home and you're like, oh my gosh, look at my stuff, it's all over. Dog destroyed something. Could be your furniture, your shoes, your socks, whatever you left around or whatever they got their nose into. Obviously, everybody, I would say everybody, runs into this at some point. My dogs love the garbage can when we are not home for a long time because something smells yummy in there, and they're pretty good at busting it open. We even got like a special lock on there, and still sometimes they get into it. It does happen, and it's annoying. Luckily for us, it's just the garbage that they got into, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people can agree to that. But when they destroy something like furniture, that's a big problem. That's not a very nice thing to come home to. So please bear with me. I'm just going to go over my notes. There are actually quite a few things I came up with because it's not just one answer fits all. And this is really the case with a lot of things that people have problems with. I get a lot of people... they basically send me an email or a text message or Facebook message or whatever it is, and they basically say, my dog is doing this, what do I do? Well, it's a bit hard to basically give you one answer because there are a lot of things that could be at play. So what I'm doing with this video in particular is going to help you problem solve, because you have to kind of learn to determine where did it originally go wrong. And that's really what I'm trying to do with this video too. And I'm going to be mentioning the fundamentals a lot in this as well, because everything that happens is traceable back to the fundamentals. If you go back to my video course, there are 7 principles in the fundamentals, and these 7 principles are the core of any form of behavior. You can always trace it back to one or multiple principles that something went out of place. Now there are a few easy solutions to this problem, and in this particular case, and I've probably shown you the picture already from this lady's couch. The top of the handrest was destroyed. So one of the things, and actually Leanne pointed this out, she's like, well, maybe you had some food on there from the other day, whenever that happened. Maybe you had a cup of juice and it spilled a little bit and it went into the fabric of the couch. So your dog's like, oh my gosh, this smells really good. Let me see if I can lick it off, and you know what, it's deeper down, and I really got to dig my nose in, and before you know it, there's a little thingy sticking up, and this little thingy, oh look, and oh more. And before you know it, there's a hole in the couch. So that, of course, is a possibility. I'm not saying that is the solution for all destroyed furniture out there, but it's possible that that was just the case. In your case with your couch, it's, you know, people have kids, and I was silly back in the day. I was not an ideal child for my parents, unfortunately. Yeah, let's not get into that. But you hear the stories, you know, parents come home, they, you know, the big one is like, oh, my kids used the scissors and they cut their hair themselves, and it absolutely got funny. Anyways, or you come home and... or your kids are quiet in the other room for a bit, and then you're like, what are they doing? And then you come there, and they're like, they used all their markers on their wall and drew beautiful pictures, Mommy, I love you. Big problem, of course. So there are times where that happens, and now you got to discipline your child, saying, you know what, this is not acceptable, and you're going to be in trouble, and this is part of the disciplining through the communication with your child. So you see that all my things do come back to the fundamentals. So anyway, so that is of course a possibility. And with dogs, you can't... the problem with dogs is they don't have very long-term memory for what you're trying to communicate to them. So if something happens in the morning, let's say in this particular case, the lady is available or is gone from 7 till 2. And then she has a dog walker, and she has a dog walked by the walker. So because you don't really know what happened in that time frame and your dog is loose, it could have happened because they were a little anxious, you were leaving, and now they just throw a little temper tantrum and they start digging in your couch, or destroy whatever furniture you have, or it was just, you know, it's close to 2 o'clock. right? Just before 2, the dog knows it's about to happen, but it's a little agitated somehow or a little anxious, and then they can't help themselves and do something bad. But by the time you come back, it has happened. So we don't know how long ago it was. So in that case, we can't really discipline him saying, you know, you were a bad boy, because the ideal way of disciplining a dog is in the moment. That is the perfect time to tell them, hey, can't do that, you're not allowed, and then redirect them, but you can do this, good job, there you go. Of course, you're not there, so this is a problem. You don't really know when it happens, so when you come home, it's kind of like, hi, mommy, you're home. I'm so happy I did something bad, but, you know, I love you anyways. So that's a problem, of course, because your dog doesn't really remember doing it. Like, it's like, yeah, okay, there's something not really right. I've come home, and the garbage can was knocked over, and the dog's go like, you know, it's me. Sorry about that. Right? So, yeah, you're mad. It's like, oh, guys, not again. You clean it up, that's one thing, but with the couches, obviously, it's a bit more problem, because it could be a $1,000 couch or more. So anyways, as I said, please bear with me. I'm just going over some of my notes. So, okay, to discipline your dog, you have to take some of the freedoms away. And the freedom in this case is the dog is loose, and it can do whatever it wants, and, you know, your solution would be, well, I can't trust you right now. I have to put you in a crate, or in a playpen, or in a room that is safe where the dog cannot destroy something. So sometimes you have to take some freedom away by disciplining them. This doesn't have to be continuous. It's just something that for the next few days, put the dog in the crate just to see how the behavior is going to change or not. One of the things you can do also with the couch in this particular case is no longer have the dog on the couch for a bit. It's a bit hard when the dog is always on the couch and all of a sudden they destroy something. So you're now resetting your boundaries. If you look in the boundary video, you'll understand what the boundaries are and how to make them. So one of the boundaries could be you have to take your dog off the couch because it destroyed it. So now, for the time being, you are being disciplined and you have to stay off the couch. Or from now on, you are never going to be on the couch anymore. This could be one of those things. Okay, another thing that was mentioned by some of the response from some of the other members were just a quick one saying, oh, the dog is bored. It is possible that the dog was bored. Yes, it's very possible. That doesn't mean that that's always the case. But in other people's cases, it is possible that your dog is bored. A lot of dogs that are bored, they either start barking, they start digging in the yard. They're craving attention. They want attention from you, and if you don't give it to them, they start to act up. Just like kids do. Mom and dad don't give the time of day for the date. Well, your kids are going to get into trouble because they are getting attention from you then, even if it's negative. So that is a possibility. It is possible that they were bored and they are asking for attention. Okay, now we're moving on. Something changed. Something in your work schedule, the kids went back to school. Something in their life changed. For a couple months we had summer vacation and all of a sudden the kids go back to school. I don't know if this particular person has children, but this can be for other people that have similar situations. It could be the case. Could be your work schedule changed, as I said. People go back to work, they weren't working. Just something has changed. Something in the structure of the day has changed, and it causes some uncertainty and anxiety potentially in them. So anxiety could be a big problem with some dogs because they feel that something is not normal and not right. And anxiety often starts with one of these principles being out of place. Another big one is the alpha status. If you as an alpha experience some difficulties in your life, whatever it may be. It could be that you're feeling some stress and anxiety yourself. So what happens is, in dog world, a dog likes to have an alpha. If there is no alpha, they feel like they need to become the alpha. So if the alpha is having problems themselves, feeling insecure, if the alpha is not rock solid, how do you think the betas will be? right? If you're mom and dad, like as a child, if you look up to your mom and dad or guardian, and they're in distress and despair, and they don't know how to pay their bills, and you know, they're anxious all the time, and they're depressed and all that stuff, how do you think the children will react, right? I know this is sometimes a bit of a sensitive topic for people, because I've experienced myself some stress in my life, and me as an alpha was very insecure, and as an alpha being insecure, it drips down to the rest of the family. You start bickering with each other. The dogs start to act up because they sense that the one thing in their life that needs to be rock solid is not. So I like to sometimes compare it to children and their parents. The children don't need to worry about paying the bills. They don't need to know that they need to pay the bills, get groceries, reply to emails, go back to work. They don't need to worry about this stuff. That's not their job. It's a job of the guardian or the parents to be the, take care of the big stuff. They're not ready for that. So sometimes a dog will have this issue as well, where as the alpha you are insecure, and they sense it somehow. As I said, there's numerous variables for that problem, of course, but somehow, something may have changed, and therefore they react. And their reaction is sometimes being a bad boy or girl. And it could be destruction of toys, of furniture, digging, barking, all that stuff. They sense that something isn't in the right place. Okay, so that is part of that. Then there's other stuff that is going on. Of course, as I said, the boredom, so it could be a lack of toys. I know this seems almost too simple to be a solution, but maybe they ran out of toys, or they couldn't get to a certain toy, and therefore they started doing something else. Of course, this, again, is a very simple solution. I just came up with a list, and I'm just going over what I got here. It could be that they're going through a growth spurt. Growth spurts can, make you feel a little sore. There could be multiple problems in their system. So it could be that they have some digestive issues. Something doesn't sit well. They're not feeling right in their skin. They're maybe irritated by food or the change of food. Also, because you are, in this particular case, this lady's dog is about a year old, so another thing that could happen, maybe, did you recently change the food? Because your dog's now a year old, so they should be pretty much getting on to adult food. So maybe the transition from puppy food to adult food was a little rougher on them than you wanted to. It's possible, because the transition from puppy food to adult food, usually you take a couple of days to mix in the adult food with the puppy food, and then usually within a week or two, you're now on adult food. But the food reaction takes about a month for their bodies to really take it all in. So maybe a month ago you switched food. It's possible that they are a bit agitated by now. Their bodies are now being adjusted to different kinds of foods. So again, this is a possibility. There could be some skin irritation. It is the summer in this case. There is a chance that they're somewhere agitated. Maybe there is an allergy at play. As you can see, this list is quite long as to why things happen. So I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. Okay. Did you go to the vet recently? It could even be a couple weeks ago that you went to the vet and you got another needle given. A needle, the vaccines that are given, just like with people, it can sometimes take some time before it's completely absorbed in your system. So maybe there was something that you recently did. You made a trip to the vet, whether it was medication or a vaccine or similar situations where the dog got something inserted in their body, and therefore it's not, again, sitting well, and therefore they have a reaction. All right, moving on. Then there's another thing that happens sometimes. It's usually when they start getting to what I call the teenage years. When a puppy grows up, they come to a stage where they transition from puppy to adult. Some dogs do this as early as around 6 months, but usually the phone calls happen for me between 7 and 9 months. I've heard of it around a year. It is possible. Some dogs, just like children, are a little later than others, and it also often depends on the size of the dog. Usually the bigger the dog, usually a little later as well. What I mean by the teenage years, they can throw a bit of a temper tantrum, and this is actually quite interesting. In nature, when a young puppy becomes slowly an adult, I call that the teenage years, they are just like children experiencing new things. Hormones are starting to change. Instincts start to change a bit. They now go to a stage where, let's compare it to a pack of wolves. There's a big male alpha. And then this young stud is now challenging the alpha status. This is their nature. They, at some point, they have to see, is the alpha going to stay the alpha? Or am I going to be the new alpha? So what happens in nature, they all of a sudden, they start to clash with the alpha. And this happens in our houses too. And a lot of people don't talk about this. They don't even know it exists. And they're like, why is it all of a sudden my dog just acting up weird? What happens is, this is exactly what happens. The pup is now challenging the alpha status, because just like teenagers often challenge authority at that time because their brains start to grow and they're like, I can handle it, I'm way better and cooler than my mom and dad. They don't know squat. There's, trust me, I know. Ask my dad. Puppies do this, and as I said, this happens around 6 months to a year, somewhere in that time frame. They often all of a sudden start to challenge authority. The alpha has to stick to their ground. They have to sometimes pin the dog down. Like if you imagine having two male alphas fight over alpha status, whoever wins is the one on top, literally biting, holding the neck of the other one, pinning them down, and the other one is fighting and resisting it. And at some point they give up. As long as the male alpha holds the other one down, and this can be as long as an hour, in our homes anyways. And I had to do this with my Newfie, actually. She was 7 months old at the time, and she started challenging. And this was becoming a problem because my daughter was very small at the time, and she was kind of leaning in over top of her, and she was thinking she was over top like an alpha, and she was really challenging me. And at one point I pinned her down, and I thought that was enough. I think I did it for a couple minutes, and that was it. And then but it didn't go away. The annoying behavior was really playing there, and it was challenging for sure. And then at one point I was like, that's enough. Like I basically overpowered her. I practically sat on her. She's a big dog. She was about 120 pounds at the time, still a pup. But I pinned her down, and I held her on her chest. And just, if you have a dog, by the way, that tries to bite you, if you hold them down, you have to hold them a little bit closer so they can't reach. But I literally had to sit on her for 20 minutes. And she was fighting, and you could feel the resistance the whole time. But after 20 minutes, all of a sudden, it went down. That was the moment that she gave up on the alpha status. And if you're experiencing this, and this is a challenge for some people because not everybody is daring to do it, it could be 45 minutes you have to pin your dog down and show them, I am in charge. You are going to listen. There is no alternative. I am the alpha. You hold them down till they stop resisting. That can be tough. You hold them down till they stop resisting, and when they give up, usually you'll see an improvement in their behavior around you, because they're like, you know what? I tried, and I can't win. I can't be the alpha. You are the alpha. So that again is one of the variables in this whole particular video that could be the situation in the destruction of a piece of furniture. I'm sorry this video is getting a little long. I think I mentioned most of the problems. Oh, I got one more. Last one. This probably doesn't apply to this particular lady, but I just wanted to mention it as well. In this case, it's a female, and some females actually act up at some point, and this is when they first get into their first heat cycle. So if you didn't spay your female, you will sometimes see some behavioral changes that are sometimes a little like, what in the world is going on? Why is this whole thing acting up and weird? If you have a female that's not fixed, from time to time, and I find it too. We have one of our dogs is not fixed because we breed her, and all of a sudden she's like, "Hey, what you doing?" With me, it's weird. Anyways, so sometimes she's like that. I was like, "Uh-oh, she's getting into heat again," and sure enough, a couple weeks later, it's happening. So it's one of those things that we notice too, like. Dogs do behave differently as their hormones change, and it's noticeable, especially in females, because they're the ones going into heat, of course. Anyway, so that was the last one that I could come up with. Hopefully that was helpful. Again, to recap, any problem you come across, you can always go back to the fundamentals. You can, if you look at the topics, alpha, boundaries, communication, discipline, respect, social, and structure. Any problem you can think of, you can always trace back to the 7 principles. They work. But it's up to you to discover where is the problem. This is something, because unfortunately I get so many questions from people about certain topics, and then I have to do one of these videos, and I'm love it actually. But there are so many variables, and it may not apply to you, but there may be some stuff that does apply to you, and that's why I want to help you understand the 7 principles, because you can kind of figure out where it may have gone wrong. Like, you don't want to go. I like to call it you can put a band-aid on something, which is great, you fix the problem temporarily. But if you don't go to the root cause of the problem, which is where the 7 principles come in, you may never fix it. So to fix a problem, it's the same as going to the doctor. You can go to the doctor all you want, and they can prescribe you a medication because you just want to fix. Right? You don't feel well, I'll just take this. Okay. But usually there's something else that's happening. And you really need to go to the root cause of why is this happening. And when you know why this is happening, you can see, okay, oh, you know what? Yeah, we did change our work schedule, and the dog is not getting enough attention right now. It could be one of those things that I forgot to mention is you can be home with your dog, but you can also be absent with your dog. You can be home, and you know how you kind of be space cadet, you're not really paying attention to your dog, even though you're scratching the dog, but you're not actually with the dog, mentally. They sense that too. So it's the same with kids too. If you don't give them attention, they'll, even though you're home, they know you're just a couch potato and not doing anything. The kids will know the same thing, and they can also throw a temper tantrum because of that. So again, another one, social. It could be another cause, right? You didn't have a little bit of a one-on-one connection where you connected. It's not like I was here and I rubbed the dog and, hey, good boy, or good girl, awesome. Social is a big thing too, right? You guys spend a little bit of time with your dog. Now, it doesn't have to be long, but it's almost like you just need this connection. Just a quick, hey, buddy, how are you doing? Good day, I love you. And then, throw a ball quickly or just do a little walk and just get that one-on-one connection every now and then, just so they know they're paying attention to me. I love this. Best day ever. Okay, I think that concludes it for now. I think that's it. All right, thank you for watching, guys. I hope that was helpful. I know it was a little long, but I just wanted to encompass everything I came up with. So there you have it.